Hey, what's up? This is Matt Dietz, and this is Agency Launch. This is the show where I talk about what it's like to run an insurance agency. I talk about staffing and customer service and marketing and sales. And if you can do those four things well, you'll be successful. All right, so in order to help you do one of those things well, we are in an interesting market right now, and they are encouraging agents to pivot and look at other types of coverage to sell. So if you text me 208-213-8809, I have a free resource to help you get your foot in the door to writing commercial insurance. I didn't write commercial for like 2 years. I wish I started sooner, but now I do it really well. So I'm going to tell you what you need to know to get your foot in the door with commercial. So text me commercial to 208-213-8809. All right, on with the show. All right, I got something for you today. I got another feather to put in your cap. I got another tool to put in your toolbox. I wanted to introduce you to Brightco. Brightco is an online jewelry insurance carrier, and they are making your life easier and your customers' lives easier. How? Well, quoting is super easy. You can do a quote in like 2 minutes by answering 6 questions. All their policies are backed by an AM Best A+ rated insurance carrier. Renewals are automatic. Claims will not be reported on a Clue report. That is huge. Their plans offer $0 deductibles. They have 125% replacement cost value. They cover mysterious disappearance. It's everything you want in your jewelry coverage. So do me a favor. If you want to get appointed or check them out, go to bright.co/Matt Dietz. That's bright.co/MATTDIETZ and get in. Hey, what's up? Today, I wanted to tell you, not really a story, but I wanted to talk to you about a conversation that I had with an agent recently who reached out to me and booked a call with me. Hey, it reminds me, if you want to do that, you can text me 208-213-8809 and just text me chat with Matt, and you'll get my calendar, and then we can chat and have cool conversations like this. So I talked to a 14-month agent. And I was like, hey, man, congratulations on getting through your first year. You know, it's not easy. He's like, thanks. He's got a team of 2, not including himself. And actually, he's got a team of 3. He's got 2 producers, a CSR, and himself. So he's fully loaded when it comes to personnel, right? He's ready to go. And he's in a good populated area in the Southwest. And I think there's enough people for him to sell to. He's like, hey, man, I need some help setting my goals. I was like, cool. So we chatted, and I think he wasn't sure how to set his goals, which is totally normal. He's like, I've talked to other agents, like they have goals, and you know, that some of them seem arbitrary. I don't know how to set my goals. I was like, this is a great question, and it's a worthy conversation to have. So I wanted to help him at least dial that in. So I remember the first time that I was told how many policies I needed to write. Like I was brand new. It was like my 2nd month or something like that. My DM rolls up and he's like, Matt, you need to write 20 policies a month if you want to be successful in this industry. And I had no reason not to believe him, right? And I was like, okay, well, I'll go do that then. And I did. I'm the type of person that's hardwired to chase a number that's put in front of me, right? I'm like the dog chasing the car. So I did. I was like, hey, man, look, I did it. And I did it again and again and again. And then it's a great way to get your reps in, right? But I always wondered, I was like, what happens? I wonder what would have happened if he told me that I needed to write 30 a month. Like I probably would have done that too, you know? And so I think it's an interesting thought to have when you're setting these goals, right? Like what can you do? What is your, so I asked him, I said, hey, man, what's the most you wrote in the last 12 months? And he said, well, the most I wrote in premium was 40. Oh, I wrote it down. I think it was 44 or 48,000 in premium. I'm like, that's all right. Good job. What's your average premium? I was like, he said, my average premium is 22,000 a month. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. You know, and I asked him, why did you have such a big month? And he said, well, because I wrote 2 HOAs. And which is awesome. I was like, cool. I was like, why don't you put a pin in that? And we'll talk about that. Why aren't we, ideally, like, why aren't you writing more of those, right? So you want to do an audit of the work you're doing throughout a year and be like, geez, I just wrote, $24,000 worth of premium on 2 policies. Maybe we should do more of those. So maybe that's something that would be a goal for him moving forward. So we talked a little bit more. I was like, all right, so, what's your closing ratio? And he said, our closing ratio is 4%. I said, okay, now what's that based on? He said, well, I said, how many quotes do you do in a week? And he said, well, I do about 100. And I was like, how many proposals do you do in a week where you're sitting across the table or talking to someone over the phone or Zoom or whatever? How many people are you quoting that want a quote from you? And he's like, that's a good question. And he didn't quite have an answer to that question. I said, what do you think the closing ratio is on the people that you talk to versus the people you don't talk to? He said, that's a good question too. He said, it's significantly higher. I was like, I know. I said, so why are you quoting, all these people that you're never going to talk to? And I had another conversation with an agent a couple of months ago, working these leads and internet leads or whatever you're getting your hands on. They're just sending out quotes to people that don't know you, and I was like, I stopped doing that a long time ago because those quotes never came back to me. I was like, well, that's a waste of time. So how do you concentrate your efforts getting in front of more people where you have a higher closing ratio, right? And so we talked about that. And then we talked more about numbers. Like, how many people do you think your producers can actually quote in a day? So we started working numbers. He's like, based on the conversation we were having, he said, I think my producers, I should expect them to quote two real households a day. I was like, great. What's your average premium? So at the end of all of this conversing, I said to him, based on what you're telling me, if your producers are each quoting 2 households a day, and so are you guys are doing 30 quotes a week, right? 120 real quotes a month. If your closing ratio is 20% on those, you're going to write 24 households. You're going to write 60 policies in a month. What would that mean to you? He said, that would mean a lot. He goes, I said, how much premium would you, well, he said, that'd be about $60,000 in premium. I'd make about $6,000 plus bonuses. I'd probably make about $9,000 a month. I was like, cool. How much you making now? He's like, between 2 and 3. I was like, there you go. So that's how that conversation happened between me and this agent. He was really grateful. And he was like, this is exactly what I needed. Thank you for talking me through this. This is just the way my mind works with this stuff. It's important to know what your potential is. It's important. It's always been really important to me that the time that you're spending in your agency is giving you the best opportunity to write more business. If you're an agency owner and your closing ratio is 4%, it depends on your volume, right? If you have installed an internet lead farm in your agency, 4% is what you're going to get. But if you're dialed in to quote 500 a day or whatever it is, you're going to hit your numbers. I know there are agents out there that are doing that, and good for them. And that's not typical. Okay. If you are like me or this other agent, you are not set up that way. So you want to put yourself in position to have the best opportunity for success. So then we went on and talked about marketing programs. How can you get in front of more people, real people? He lives in an area where there's like 1 million people that live around there. Like, go quote people. So I thought this was a great conversation to have with a newer agent who needed some direction. I know he's not the only one out there that needs some direction. I just wanted to share it with you. So I'm sharing it with you. I hope that helps. My name's Matt. This is Agency Launch. You can find me all over the place. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Dietz Agency. Don't forget to send me a text and hop in my texting community. I'd love to have you there. 208-213-8809. I would love a review. If you have 7 seconds to go to the podcast app and maybe give me 5 stars, that would be awesome. Thank you. And that's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Keep up the good work.